welcome, man. You are listening to Bras, Panties, and Sports, and I just been so excited. The playoffs have been, they've been on fire. Now, this is Spit Face. Please welcome our host, the First Lady of Sports Talk, Cheryl Smith.
Good morning. Yeah, those playoffs have really been on fire. We got 2 Game 7s. 2 Game 7s. Wow.
Yeah. That's we gonna see somebody going fishing. It start whittling down, and that's those fishing boats start getting crowded. All right, check out the music this week on Shout Out. We are featuring performances from Ali Angel. Will she find her shining star or get the cold feel of the mute button? First Lady, we're ready. What you saying?
Each week we try to figure out what is going on in the sports world, not the plays of the week, more like the players of the week. Are they trying to tell us something? So we ask, what you saying? Fly, little birdie, fly. Time keeps on slipping into the future. Time keeps on slipping into the future. So I want to fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let the spirit carry me. I want to fly right into the future. The little birdie known as Rich Strike flew far, far away from Epic Center to win the Kentucky Derby. Rich Strike was rich enough to muscle and fly his way through a crowded rail area to catch and pass Epic Center, the favorite, who came in second. To be clear, Rich Strike had an 80-1 odds. Should Rich Strike be considered the greatest thoroughbred in Kentucky Derby history? Rich Strike will not go for the Triple Crown. Is that a sign he was lucky and caught lightning in a bottle? Marvelous Marvin Hagler, rest in peace. Bernard Hopkins, Roy Jones Jr., and the Steve Miller Band are asking, what you saying? Well, what can you say? I know one thing. I sure wish I had some money on Rich Strike, that's for sure. I mean, my goodness, that's a lot of money people were winning. I mean, this horse, he came from nowhere to win the biggest horse race ever. Now, the owners decided they did not want to push him to run into Preakness. They said they didn't want to push him to run the Preakness. So did Rich Strike get lucky and caught lightning in a bottle? I think he was very lucky just to get into the race. I don't know if people know that. Rich Strike did not draw into the field. He only entered the Derby that day. I think it was the day before the race when the horse Ethereal Road was scratched. And the owners originally wanted Rich Strike to run in the Preakness. So they actually had no plans for him to even run back-to-back. He wasn't planning to run the Derby, but after having the opportunity to run in the Derby, they couldn't pass. So it's still hard to say whether or not he was lucky or not, because it made sense why his odds were so high, because he just got into the race. No one in their right mind would have given this horse a chance to win. But he was training for the Preakness, so I'm going to say it was a 50% luck. Now, people must understand, Ronnie, when you're betting, betting is, people got to understand betting odds are not based on experts in the field of horse racing. It's instead based off of the odds that are set by the amount of money that is being bet on each horse relative to how much is bet on the other horses. So, I mean, now, obviously, people who bet on horse races, they looked at the different handicappers and see what they determine based on horses' previous performances. So there is a little science to it, but in reality, there is no science to it, because you got human beings just betting on the horse. And sometimes people just bet on the name of the horse. So that's why, to me, that's why you can't really say, yeah, he had an 80-1 odds, but it just made sense because he just got into the race. So, Rich Strike may be the first Derby winner, and a lot of people don't realize he wasn't like a thoroughbred that came through a lineage of other thoroughbreds. He was basically they had a race. What they call it, they call it that he was purchased through a claim, which is a type of race where every horse is for sale at a set price and can be claimed by the new owner prior to the post time. So these owners only paid $30,000 for Rich Strike. And the average cost for a racehorse, this is just the average cost, is about $75,000 according to Pet King. Now, we all know a good thoroughbred horse does not cost $75,000. They're usually in the millions, okay? You go look at Secretary and all those other horses that won Kentucky Derby and see how much they cost, because they were bred through, like I said, lineage of their parents. Is a lineage of thoroughbred racing in a horse line, so that's why they're so expensive. So Rich Strike costing $30. I mean, that's a miracle when you look at that. You know, they got a lot of bang for their money. Let's just face it. But you know, and prior to the Derby, Rich Strike ran in I think 7 races, and he only finished third in several of those races. So he's never won a race before. But, you know, we'll never really know Rich Strike's greatness. But, you know, he is expected to run in the Belmont because of the fact that he's not going to do Preakness. He was only determined to run 2 of those races. So it will be the fighting race. To me, the Belmonts will determine whether or not this horse race, this horse is just straight lucky. We don't know. So we have to wait and see how he does in the Belmont. Now that people are aware of him and who he is, we'll see really what type of horse Rich Strike is. All right, Spitface, what are you saying?
First Lady, I see people lining up for Rich to see if they going to get rich, see if he going to strike again. And, you know, I watched the race. And I will say this, because there was a point where I put it like this. Rich Strike was up against the rail, and I don't do a lot of, you know, watching a lot of horse racing. But I know when you get up against that rail and the crowd is there, usually that's the end of the race for you. You stuck right there. It's like being in a traffic jam on the Dan Ryan Expressway in Chicago, you know, at 5 p.m. when everybody getting off work. You ain't moving, you know, and you can, you know, same like them California highways, you know, that once you hit rush hour and it's back to back and you in a certain spot, you just going, And I saw him, First Lady. It was like he muscled the other horses away. Mm-hmm. And if there was a bit of space, he was popping through. He was. I mean, I was like, and then when he just started putting it on, I was like, woo, he go past ethics. I mean, it was really, it was really amazing to watch that horse get through that crowd, get off the rail, and then, you know, boom, 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 and beat him flat out. Flat out. That was one of the more exciting Kentucky Derbies for me. And I'm like, you know, for credibility, I can't say he's the greatest thoroughbred in Kentucky Derby history, because there have been too many great thoroughbreds that have come through to be, to be one of the greatest. I think part of it to make it, you know, it's not really that you had the best time or the performance in the Kentucky Derby. It's did you win the Triple Crown? Because you win the Triple Crown, then you're in the discussion for one of the greatest thoroughbreds in Kentucky Derby history. Because the greatest thoroughbreds in Kentucky Derby history went on to win the Triple Crown. So I get his owners, you know, they gotta look at the horse, the condition of the horse, the well-being of the horse, And if they feel like, man, we got you in on the last spot for the Kentucky Derby and you won, do we want to press it when we really planned on that second race? So it is what it is. But I think that even if he wins the Belmont, still won't have Rich Strike be the greatest thoroughbred in Kentucky Derby history because you got to win the Triple Crown. You got to do that. But, hey, it's going to be some folks looking to see, can they strike it rich? and I go, hey, you know what? That's a 50-50 proposition at this point. I'm with First Lady on that. That's all I'm saying, First Lady.
Yeah, he's definitely not the greatest horse in racing history. I mean, the Derby history. That might be the greatest upset in Kentucky Derby history.
Yeah.
Now that probably is. But he is not the greatest thoroughbred, as you said. To be a great thoroughbred, you need to win the Triple Crown, and not only that, win the Triple Crown and produce other winners from your lineage. That's what I consider greatness.
Well, okay.
I think didn't I forgot who Secretary is. Didn't Secretary produce another Triple Crown? I'm quite sure he did. I can't look it up. I'll look it up later.
So. I think so. I'm not sure which one, but I'm with you.
I can't remember which one, but I'll look it up later. But I believe Secretary did produce another Triple Crown winner. I don't remember the name now. So to me, that's greatness when you great like that. So, but you know what? You can rest assured, Rich Strike will not be at 80-1 when he runs into Belmont State. You can rest assured that. I know people will be betting on him for the Belmont State. But anyway, it's all good and well. We'll see how Rich Strike does. All right, Spitface, over to you.
All right, don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years, rocking my peers and putting suckers in fear, making the tears rain down like a monsoon. Listen to the bass go boom. Explosion, overpowering, over the competition I'm towering. Record shop when I drop these lyrics that'll make you call the cops. Don't you dare stare, you better move. Don't ever compare me to the rest that'll all get sliced and diced. Competition paying the price. I'm gonna knock you out, Mama said knock you out, We are talking about the knockout punch to Las Vegas Raiders interim team president Dan Ventrell. Owner Mark Davis announcing a statement that Ventrell is no longer with the Raiders organization, but divulged no details about the decision. Ventrell said in a statement that he was fired in retaliation for bringing concerns from multiple employees to the NFL about a hostile work environment. When Mark was confronted about these issues, he was dismissive and did not demonstrate the warranted level of concern. Given this, I informed the NFL of these issues and of Mark's unacceptable response. Soon thereafter, I was fired in retaliation for raising these concerns. I firmly stand by my decision to elevate these issues to protect the organization and its female employees. Davis did not comment on the allegations specifically. Is there an odor starting to emanate from the Raiders organization? Is there more to them hiring a racist and misogynist as a head coach than the public was aware of? Former head coach. If more gets revealed and it's bad, will that impact the Deshaun Watson situation? Leroy Satchel Page, Walter Buck Leonard, and James Cool Papa Bear. I ask him what you say. First Lady, I think that this is one of those cases where more will be revealed, and looking at there seems to be the Raiders players, okay, and then it's like coaching and management and ownership, And while they have, I say the issues with the players don't seem to be, anywhere on the level of the issues with the coaching and management and owners. My sense is that this is going to get something is going to bust loose, and it's not going to be good public-wise for the NFL or the Raiders. And I think the players are going to be like, really, we done got the plantation master kicked out. Now, maybe we working with someone who, treats us like professional athletes and human beings. But man, what do y'all do? But hey, the folks who fired that fool in the first place, to now there's been no question about, well, hey, did y'all kind of know that he was a racist misogynist or not? No, nobody has kind of raised that. It's like, oh, we found out. Oh, no. Well, we kind of go, y'all kind of hang in the same circles. I'm paying somebody $100 million. We buddies. We good friends. I'm selling you out. Look, man, we hanging out a little bit, Now, so, because I want to know the guy that I'm giving $100 million to take my team to the Super Bowl. Not that it got there, but that was the plan. So, you start going, well, okay. And then now it could, some could say that Ventrell knew that he was going to get the axe and was already, like he already tattling. He went and tattled on the Raiders. Let me go tattle to the NFL honchos, which is usually not a good deal because, it's an old boys club. And if you tattle on one of them, they're going to go, well, you might tattle on us. So I kind of think that Ventrell may have some substance to what he's saying. But one thing, Deshaun Watson should have an ear out for anything in the league when it comes to, I'll just say, women. So even if a team he ain't got nothing to do with, something come out because, hey, the public is looking and it's like, well, maybe y'all being kind of loose at the NFL. So, punishments can be strict, not because of your particular situation, but because of the overall, as they say, big picture. First Lady, what you say?
Well, there's the adage, where there's smoke, there's fire. So there's always something going on with the Raiders lately. Like as you mentioned, as mentioned in the verbiage there, that John Gruden dismissal. We knew what happened with that situation. And then, if you can remember, there was the Henry Ruggs DUI. He killed somebody with being drunk. And now these accusations against the Raiders organization and Mark Davis in general. Now, I'm not sure if the Deshaun Watson situation will have an impact from the Davis investigation. I mean, I really don't know because, to me, it's a different type of level. We're talking about a player versus an entire organization. Now, the NFL is still investigating the sexual harassment allegations against Daniel Snyder. Now to me, that would be significant to Mark Davis because we're talking about the same type of level. We're talking about our owner to see what happens with that particular investigation, whether or not Daniel Snyder is going to be forced to sell the team. That's what everybody is hoping for. Now, I haven't heard any that the allegations are sexually harassment or anything. Like you said, it's hostile environment. They said, hostile environment. There's been some economic issues, poor financial management. People been forced to do NDAs and they're not paying their bills. They even said that the electric bill wasn't paid. Now, I have to tell you, I was in Vegas recently, and I did see the lights on at the stadium because you can't miss the stadium because once you go by the airport and you drive to wherever you got to go, you see the big stadium right there. So it was bright and shining. So I don't know when the electrical bills weren't paid, but that's what people are saying. So, and unfortunately, many executives have left the organization, too. That's what they're saying. But I have to tell you this now, Spitface. Mark Davis, he better have a detailed reason for firing Dan Ventrell because his firing clearly seems to be retaliatory in nature. I mean, you don't give a reason why you're firing a man after he divulged all this stuff, and then you're going to fire him? I mean, Management 101, we know you can't fire somebody after they drop the dime on you. I have to use old school term, drop the dime. I mean, you can't fire anybody for doing that, especially afterwards. I mean, you better have a good enough history of why you're firing this man because, I mean, that's retaliation. I mean, there's no excuse for it. But anyway, I just, right now, Spitface, the NFL, they have so many investigations going on. It's so ridiculous. You remember, we talked about it, maybe I forgot when, but I also reported, remember, the NFL still has that ongoing investigation on the Antonio Brown sexual accusation. And that happened in 2019. That was from a 2019 incident. We are already almost midway through 2022, and they still haven't resolved the Antonio Brown. So it's going to be several years before these investigations are finished. I mean, we're going to be talking about it for a long time. I don't expect the Deshaun Watson situation to be resolved this year. I expect Deshaun Watson to play the entire year because if the NFL haven't done Antonio Brown, why should they jump to do Deshaun Watson? They need to finish one investigation after another one. They got to finish the Dan Snyder investigation. I don't know how many people they have to do all these investigations, but it's a lot. And there's going to be more coming down the pipe. So, I mean, it's just going to be several years for these investigations to be finished, Spitface. That's all I'm saying.
You say it's starting to look like the January 6th commission. Only difference is the January 6th commission, they be finding stuff on post. Oh, this also, well, we seen that you did X, Y, Z. Oh, so at least the NFL, it just be an investigation.
Right. Yeah, we don't hear, you don't hear anything else. You don't hear anything else. You just hear it's an investigation. Exactly.
Yeah. It still makes me give Major League Baseball a lot of credit because they ain't screwing around. Bam! No, we just gonna suspend your ass for 3 years. They ain't messing around. Now that might, the suspension may get reduced, but they want to make sure their message is loud and clear. We ain't tolerating. And we ain't going to do no 9-year investigations. Matter of fact, if the police say, well, we don't have enough evidence to blah, 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 we don't care what they say. It's what we say. So, hey, Deshaun, be glad you're in the NFL instead of the MLB. First Lady, please take us to break.
Stay tuned. Coming up next, we have a performance from Allie Angel on Shout Out Part 1.
The music flows in from around the globe to get a shout out from the panel. First Lady, I can't wait to hear the music from Allie Angel.
On Shout Out, we feature new independent artists who are looking to find their shining star. If we like what we hear, we'll give the track a shout out. If we don't like it, we hit the mute. Today we are featuring Allie Angel out of Los Angeles. Only fitting, she comes from Los Angeles, the city of angels. They say, quote, Allie Angel retro soul production and classic songwriting style emanates a 1970s influence. Optimistic lyrics, dreamy imagery, and a rich production featuring horns, strings, Wurlitzers, Glockenspiel, twang meets soul, meets indie, catchy, classic rock. Okay, that's a lot. It's a real lot. All right, let's hear Extra Wild. Well, that was short and sassy. Well, you know what? I actually liked the song. I really did. It was kind of like, I understand what they were saying. It had a old school feel to it, and I don't know. I don't consider it to be neo soul though. I mean, I thought they call it retro soul, not neo. Okay, yeah, retro soul. So that's the old school thing for production. Yeah, 70s. So I definitely agree with them, and I'm going to definitely shout it out. All right, Spitface, you hitting the mute or you shouting it out?
They was jamming the glockenspiel.
I know what a Wurlitzer. I ain't never heard no glockenspiel.
The glockenspiel. It's the it's like the well, it'll come to me. But I'm shouting it out. I
you don't know. If you don't know, I don't know. No glockenspiel.
Yeah, no, it just I had it right on the tip of my tongue, and then it disappeared. But because I used to go to a lot of shows where they had that Wurlitzer and that Glockenspiel, making it's almost like what's that? What do Roy plays?
I see it's a xylophone phone. It's almost like a xylophone. That is?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Now, but I'm giving it a shout out. I thought they jammed it. Actually, I thought she had everything she said. She had in the song. So it's like this is me. And I could see. I know a lot of mixed places where there are mixed crowds, and where they would enjoy that. Everybody can kind of get up, dance a little bit to it, and have another drink.
Okay.
In the little mixed crowd places.
Right. But that's good. So you shouted out. I'm very excited to see on part 2 of Shout Out. We'll have another performance from Allie Angel to see what she can produce for us. And is that the sound of my favorite underwater friend? It's time for Flip It. All right. You know what time it is. That's right. Wait, all this water getting splashed up here on me. It's time for Flip It, where the host defend, appointed, and flip the script and defend the opposing view. The 76ers went fishing against the underrated and often disrespected Miami Heat. The Sixers say they are willing to pay James Harden the $47 million if he decides to opt in of his contract for next season. And we're wondering, is this already a huge mistake? Defend, James Harden has something left in the tank until the playoffs. They should have let him and his contract disappear. First Lady, James Harden disappeared quicker than Houdini. Gone. Where'd Harden go? Gone. At the wrong times, which is at the times when they, I need him to step up. And this has just been the cycle. When he was the man, the top dog, Houston, leading the league, just everything. Get to the playoffs, and then sooner or later, it started being the twilight or the Harden zone. You don't see him much, and there were he just needs more talent to surround him with the right, no combination. No combination. No combination worked. And right now, Philly, they have, they are competitive, but being saddled by that big contract and for what they need and for what Harden can reliably produce, sounds like a bunch of smoke and mirrors. First Lady, what you saying? Well, the Sixers should hope that Harden does opt into that Harden doesn't opt into his contract. I mean, why would they want to pay this man that much money? He's a shell of himself. He's no longer worthy of a $47 million contract. There were always questions about how Harden always come up small in big games. Well, Spitface, he shrank so small, he really did disappear in Game 6. I mean, only 2 shots in the second half. I mean, even then, no shooting Simmons would have taken more than 2 shots than Harden. I mean, it's just kind of ridiculous. The man only shot twice, one in the third quarter and one in the fourth quarter. I mean, that's a disappearing act of all time. I mean, many people thought Harden was deliberately not playing hard because he wanted Mike D'Antoni as his coach, but that basically has been dispelled after the Sixers announced Doc Rivers will be back as their coach. But it's all about Harden, poor Joel Embiid. I mean, he goes from Ben Simmons quitting on the team, and that's during the off season, to James Harden quitting on the team during the game. I mean, that's what he did. As far as I'm concerned, he quit. He just did not play aggressive. He hasn't played aggressive in this playoffs. Didn't understand why he couldn't put up more shots. He made a statement because the ball didn't come back to him. That's a bunch of nonsense. He initially had the ball, so he should have started putting up some better shots. He put up shots in the first half, so why couldn't he put up shots in the second half? It's really a weird situation as to what is going on with James Harden. But I know one thing. He was definitely the reason that the Sixers did not win that playoff series. And, I mean, what can you say? The Sixers should definitely want him not to opt in so they don't have to pay him and so he can see if somebody else would be dumb enough to give him a max contract. That's all I'm saying, Spitfire.
All right, but we have to flip the script in the fifth. The Sixers need to keep Harden and add some guns to the roster. The entire team disappeared when Embiid went down, not just Harden. You know, it's easy to pick on the aging superstar, but the aging superstar is still a star and may not be, quote, as reliable as he was years ago, but still is a reliable player on the team. Now, so Harden is not going to take the press. He ain't going to take over games. That ain't happening. The days of him taking over games is over. But you don't need him to take over games. But you also need him, and you need somebody to complement Embiid. So Harden is going to take the heat because he got a big contract, but who ain't got a big contract in the NBA, you know, and unless you're on that rookie contract. So it's not Harden. They're going to have to add some people to the team. Now, I know there are some who say that the Sixers should never let Jimmy Buckets get away. Him and Embiid, oh, my God, but that's a different story. First Lady, please defend.
I believe the 76ers are using reverse psychology on James Harden, stating that they will keep him, hoping he will opt into his contract. This gives the Sixers another year to look at him to see if he can regain his greatness or he's just a facilitator. Harden was out of shape his last year in Houston when he wanted to leave the team, but that being out of shape and coming to camp out of shape really backfired on him because it caused him to have hamstring problems. And he's had hamstring problems for the last couple of years and especially last year, and it still continued this year. So that's one of the reasons why he didn't play that well. Now, it's not all about James Harden because I just think a lot of the 76ers disappeared when Embiid went down. You know, poor Joel Embiid. I mean, that poor brother, he really played hard, had a broken cheek, orbital fracture, ligament problems with his hands. He kept falling over the floor everywhere you look. Joel Embiid was on the floor. I don't know if he obviously must have had some balance issue from the orbital fracture because he was, in concussion protocol. I don't think he really resolved that concussion the way he was flip-flopping. Unfortunately, he even ran into Danny Green, and now Danny Green got an ACL tear. So, Joel just was all over the floor. But Harden's problems are probably fixable if he comes to camp in shape and acts like he wants to win. You got to work on your body. I always say LeBron James spends $1 million every year to work on his body. He knows his body is important to him playing well. Harden needs to start doing that because he looks like the Pillsbury Doughboy with his little plump self. So he needs to make sure he comes to training and comes back to camp in shape. Now, they also need to strengthen their bench. The Sixers probably has one of the weakest bench for a so-called championship team. Nah, you can't be a championship team with a weak bench, and that's some of the problems. I mean, those bench players, as Chuck Barkley used to say, they Jags, just another guy. They were even beyond just another guy. They were even G League guys. They almost played like they were pickup guys off of the street. The way they couldn't hit a basket. Most of their bench players. I mean, really, when you have to rely on a starting team, you got 5 guys consistently that play well, and the rest of the players don't play well. It's very hard to win a championship. The Sixers have a great starting unit, but when they go to that bench, that's when they get into problems. So, unfortunately, they had to trade their most productive bench player in Steph Curry when they did the Harden train. But I just think in the future, James Harden get himself together, Embiid comes back and has another great season, and this time he should win the MVP. I mean, he should have won it this past season, but you know how that goes. So anyway, this team just has to show more effort, and it's not always about James Harden, but, yeah, he's a big issue too. But I see them revamping this roster and to put people around Harden and Embiid, and I think the team will be much, much better next year.
Yeah, I'm with you. They'll be much better next year. But hey, Harden's pretty good during the regular season if he's in shape. If Harden's in shape and he's playing they're gonna look good. Everybody gonna be slapping on the backs, but it's gonna be interesting. All right, First Lady, please take us to break.
Okay, stay tuned. Up next, the funnies and our favorite underwater friend on Flip It Part 2.
Go hide.
Welcome back. You are still listening to Bras, Panties, and Sports. It's time for the funnies. Spitface, over to you.
Stalker alert. Stalker alert. First Lady, has been a while, but I think this is what I would call a stalker alert. Woman allegedly made bomb threats to get boyfriend off of work. Police say Kayla Blake told them she wanted to spend more time with him. A Maine woman who wanted to spend more time with her boyfriend came up with an incredibly stupid plan to get him off work. Police say Kayla Blake, 33, allegedly called in 2 bomb threats to her beau's workplace. Officials say the threats to a Puritan Medical Products plant in Pittsfield, which produces swabs for COVID tests, resulted in the evacuation around 400 employees from both the company's plants in the town and the loss of a full day of production. She has been charged with a felony count of terrorizing. Now, ladies, gentlemen, when someone wants to spend more time with you so much that they're willing to call in bomb threats to your job, you know, I First Lady, I don't know if that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I would be kind of, you know, remember that movie Misery?
Oh, yeah.
For those, if y'all have not ever seen that movie, check that movie out. Check it out. Okay, all right, Flip. Flip a splash. It must be time for our favorite underwater friend. It's time for Flip It.
The Golden State Warriors and the Miami Heat have dispatched their opponents and waiting for the conference finals. Which team has a better chance of making it to the big dance? Panel defend. Klay Thompson is back, and so are the Splash Brothers. They have the better chance. Spitface defend.
Well, Klay is back, and he's looking like every game he's starting to get better and better. And I think he's like averaging like about 30 points. I'm like, Klay is fully back. And if Draymond can just keep from being a little overly passionate, I don't see nobody stopping him. Phoenix, you know, look like they got their hands full. So, you know, they're starting to not, you know, I'm hoping that my boy don't do a James Harden, but yeah, and disappear on them. So now Miami's going to have to face the Bucks or the Celtics. And the Bucks and the Celtics, either one of them teams could win it all. So with Miami having to face them, you know that's gonna be, you know, I actually think that's gonna be tougher than what the Warriors are gonna have to deal with, either the Suns or the Mavericks. That's all I'm saying, First Lady.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, I just look at it this way. When the Warriors are, you know, the Warriors are on, that means the Splash Brothers are on, and they have the best chance to win. Now, the wise guy, you know, I always like to bring up what the wise guys say, but, you know, they feel the same way, because right now the Warriors are the number one team that has the best odds to win the championship. They're at plus 200, and the Miami Heat currently are at plus 400. They have the third best odds of winning the championship. Now, yeah, the Splash Brothers are back. I mean, even though, you know, Steph is kind of not shooting the ball the way that he normally used to shoot the ball, but like you said, Spitface, Klay has definitely been really great these last couple of games. He's been shooting over 30 points. And the thing also is Jordan Poole. I think Jordan Poole is really going to be the X factor of determining whether or not the Warriors win the championship. And I think the fact that Jordan Poole is that X factor, and he gives them the best chance to win as far as I'm concerned. But you know, they're going up against they're going up against probably the Phoenix Suns, who people deem to be the team to win it all. But we already know how they played against the Mavericks, and also when they played against what's the other team? New Orleans. The Suns definitely, you know, they're not as good as we thought they were. Let's just put it that way. So they, you know, it looks like Chris Paul looked like he turned 37, man. The day after he turned 37, he broke down. So anyway, I just think so.
He was talking hard.
Yeah. And the Warriors got a higher ceiling too, because like I said, they to me they still not where they're supposed to be. The Warriors, I still think they got room to improve. So anyway, I still think the Warriors definitely, and the Miami Heat. You know, the Miami Heat's a good team. Everybody doesn't give the Miami Heat credit, but I just think the Miami Heat really don't have that one superstar. Even though everybody say Jimmy Buckets is a superstar and Jimmy Buckets come through in the playoffs, but Jimmy Buckets, when it comes to that final shot, sometimes he's not the person that you want on that final shot. So anyway, we're going to flip this script. Panel defend. The Heat are underrated, and home court will make the difference. The Bucks and the Celtics have beat each other up. The Heat have the better chance. Spitface defend.
Well, one thing, having a home court advantage is an advantage. And the Heat are going to need every bit of advantage that they can get. And the big advantage is what you just said, First Lady. The Bucks and Celtics have been beating each other up. You know, so the Heat have been able to kick back and get a little bit of extra rest, which is an advantage. So they have home court advantage. They got an additional rest to give them an advantage. And the teams that they're facing, either team that they face has had to go through, let's say a battle. They had to, advantage the Heat. And, there's a point where a team looks up and says, you know what, everybody, they can play the underdog. Because you don't have folks going, even though they may be the third, the one with the third best odds, the public doesn't underrates them at large. They're like, nope, ain't gonna happen. So they have a lot to prove, and I think that Spoelstra, I said he's a hell of a coach. He underrated. So, but they have an easier road to get to the finals than Golden State. They will make it to the big dance.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
They got a lot of advantages. I mean, you basically went where I was going to go, too. I mean, I'm going to reiterate it, but, yeah, the Heat has several different advantages. Like you said, the home court, Bucks, Celtics, they're going to have a tough series. They're going to beat each other up. And you mentioned Eric Spoelstra. He is the best coach right now of the remaining teams. Eric Spoelstra is the best coach, and he can prepare for any team. He has a great offense. And the other advantage you didn't mention is the Heat's bench. The Heat has the best bench in basketball. I mean, when you could bring a Oladipo off of the bench, you could bring they haven't even brought Duncan Robinson off the bench, and he's a sharpshooter when he gets his act together. So, you have also who else? They just got a lot of Markeith. I forgot Markeith's last name right now. His brother. They're not even playing. He's not even playing. He's an afterthought. And so there's a lot of different players on that Heat bench that can play really, really well. So and the other thing is Lowry is injured, so the bench is filling in. The next man up mentality. So the Heat, they have always been underrated. When you listen to the pundits, they really don't mention the Heat as winning the championship, the Heat as going to the finals. They always talk about, it's going to be the Celtics, it's going to be the Bucks. They actually, when the Sixers lost, when the Heat lost those 2 straight games to the Sixers, a lot of the pundits said that the Sixers were going to win that series. We all know what happened to that situation. So anyway, the Miami Heat, they are underrated, but they play well together. And the other thing, too, they have an advantage, their defense. So to be honest with you, it will be interesting to see the Celtics. I think the Celtics and the Heat have the best defense, so that would be a struggle all by itself. So anyway, but the Heat definitely, to me, are underrated, and they have the best chance of going to the finals because The Golden State Warriors, they live and die by that jump shot. And if that jump shot is not going through, there's nothing else happening with the Warriors. All right, Spitface, please take us to break.
On the other side of the break, we have another performance from Allie Angel, Shout Out Part 2. And I'm going to say this. We don't need to refresh. It's always fresh. Please stay tuned.
You are listening to Bras, Panties, and Sports. It's time for Shout Out Part 2, the picks, and the finale. The music flows from around the globe to get a shout-out from the crew. Spitface, over to you.
Now, we have another performance from Allie Angel, and we're going to hear Play Pretend. Now, first, ladies, my fingers is crossed. Because you know how we get that, they get talent in, and the first track we jamming, and then the second track you be like, you know, what happened? Did they fall off a bridge or something? Did some aliens come and take the artists away and put somebody else in or something, you know? So, but I'm crossing my fingers. That ain't going to happen with Allie Angel. DJ, please, let's hear Play Pretend.
Fine, baby, in the midday sunshine.
right. That was Play Pretend. First Lady, you giving it a shout-out or hitting the mute button? Let's see. First Lady might be muted. Let's see if we can.
I'm sorry. Technical issues there, yes. I'm definitely going to shout it out, but I like the first song better than I did the second song. I mean, this one, look, this one really went old school to me with the sound and everything, but I did prefer the first song, but I'm still shouting it out. It was still good.
All right, okay. Yes, she did not fall off a cliff. I'm shouting it. I thought it was a good two-step song, a nice little two-step song there, being here in Texas. And I can see quite a few little hangouts that like I said, they get up off the bar stools and get on the dance floor. So hey, I'm rolling with it, and that is the end of shout out. If you like what you heard from Ali Angel, check her out on Old Grumpy Radio Network and AliAngelMusic.com. If you'd like to be heard or have any comments, please send your emails and tracks to content@oldgrumpyradio.com. First Lady, over to you.
Who will win the hardwood crown? Well, we were behind in our results, and the production assistants, they had Mother's Day off, and I decided also to give them another week off. So we will have those results next week. Now, let's get to the current picks. We're talking about 2 Game 7 matchups. Let's get to the first one. Phoenix versus the Dallas Mavericks. All right. Ooh. So they're playing in Phoenix. So I'm gonna go with the Suns. Phoenix Suns. Dizzy Mack, he has the Dallas Mavericks. All right. Face, who do you have?
I got to roll with the home team.
So you got.
I'm going with them Suns.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Suns too. All right, Bucks versus the Celtics. Dizzy Mack has the Bucks. Spitface, who do you have?
I'm going with the parquet flow and the little leprechauns.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with the Celtics too. I think it's going to be a good battle. I can tell you that much. That whole series has been actually the best series so far. Yeah, I even like it better than Dallas series because the Dallas series there seemed to be blowouts after blowouts, but most of the games were tight with the Boston and Bucks series. All right, so let's move along. Celtics versus Bucks. We're going to do our over and unders. Over under 220 points. Spitface.
I'm going with the under.
You're going with the under. I'm going to go with 220. Let me see, 100. Yeah, I'm going to go with the under on this one, too. All right, game, let's see, the Suns versus the Mavericks, over under 220 points. I'm going to go with the over. Dizzy Mack has the under. Spitface, what do you have?
I'm going with the under.
You're going with the under. All right, over some more options. Oh, these are options, and these are all options, right? So we get that. Okay, and of course, well, so you got to. It's all options, and it's $10 million if you choose them. All right, Giannis over under 38 points. Woo! He's been balling, so I'm going to go with over. Dizzy Mack has over. Spitface, what do you have? Are you taking the option?
I'm going to take the option, and I'm going to go with the under.
Okay. Tatum, over under 28 points. Dizzy Mack has under. What do you have, Spitface?
I'm going to go with the under.
I'm going to go with the over. He's been getting about 30 points, so I'm going to go with the other. Now, this one is quite interesting. Chris Paul, over under 26 points. Spitface, what do you have?
I'm going to go with the over.
Really? I'm going to go with the under. Dizzy Mack has under. Luka, 30 points. Over under 30 points. I'm going to go with over. Dizzy Mac has over. What do you have, Spitface?
I think he's going to hit 30 points, but I'm going to go with the under.
Okay. All right. Now, these are all options. You don't have to take them, correct?
Correct.
All right. Devin Booker, over or under 23 points. Dizzy Mac has under. Spitface, what do you have?
Over.
I know. I thought that was very low. I'm surprised Dizzy Mac took under, but he may know something. So I'm going to take over also. I think Devin Booker will have more than 23 points. So anyway, we're going to have a happy Sunday with all these Game 7s. Looking forward to it. So we'll see how we will do with our picks next week. All right, Spitface, what is your top story to watch this week?
The winner-loser of the Bucks Celtics.
Oh, that's your top story? Well, my whole top story this week is just playoffs.
If the Bucks get eliminated, that means last year's chance is out,
Yeah.
No repeat,
But it's been a while since we had the repeat. I'm trying to remember the last repeat we had may have been the Heat. I have to look that up. I think the Miami Heat, it's been a while since we had a repeat. It's been a while. So my top story is just in general, the playoffs, the NBA playoffs, and the NHL playoffs. I actually looked at one NHL game for 5 minutes. Now, I look at you heard I said for 5 minutes. So, yes. So I think the playoffs in general has been perfect. All right. Join us and our partners, the Veteran Women's Enterprise Center, as we honor our veteran women entrepreneurs. Please visit honorourveteranwomen.com. honorourveteranwomen.com. Check out our current and previous episodes at braspantiesandsports.com and our Facebook page, BP and Sports. This is Cheryl Smith, the First Lady of Sports Talk, and Spitface. You have been listening to Bras, Panties, and Sports. See you next week.